given the way that they're
Rubik
banning.
Rubik and Batrider just keeps your options flexible. Like their first phase of the drafting literally allows them to go in multiple directions. We'll see which way they opt to go for. If you remember their last series, they rounded up their draft with Ursa. That didn't really work well. Then the next game they looked way better. But OG, it's not the first time they picked Gyro. They also did dive the fountain with Gyro around the 12-minute mark, which was pretty damn exciting. But also what's interesting is that they're banning out like this Lina so early on. Do you think there's anything other than Iceberg just playing a very mean Lina?
Possibly. It's also not the greatest matchup against the Tiny. Like, that's why they banned out Queen of Pain. What OG has done is played Gyrocopter on the mid lane.
Yeah.
And they put the ward on the high ground and just farmed the side camp with the flag cannon. I've seen. Was it Invoker against Gyro where he had two levels ahead of him? Yeah.
They are dire this time, though. Usually you get away with that easier on Radiant.
And also there's a thing in which Gyro does exceptionally well versus some heroes. Versus some others he can struggle a little bit on the mid lane. But like Lacosta said, when you're on Radiant and you put that ward, you can farm up quite easily those two medium camps. FlyToMoon, they snatch up the Vengeful Spirit.
So with Venge and Rubik, it's a strong duo. Like, I love these two heroes paired up together. They're going to be good at every single stage of the game. You have save from Venge, you have save coming out from stealing spells from a Baron, so like I can expect prolonged team fights.
What are you picking here for FlyToMoon? Are you thinking about Drow maybe because of this Vengeful Spirit? That's a combo that comes to my mind.
Yeah, and if anything, that may make the Beastmaster seem like a deny pick because there's the Drow.
Yeah,
we usually see Drow, Beastmaster, Venge to be very, very quick and aggressive. Although I guess it would have been a general hero, and like we mentioned, Iceberg doesn't really seem like the Batrider kind of player. But yeah, they pick up a Drow, going to be great with the Vengeance aura, being able to get bonus range, and Beastmaster selected by OG. No need for BKB Piercing Disable quite yet, but still just an overall very strong laner and a strong pusher as well.
Yeah, this Beastmaster allows them, to control the vision. I still feel like the strongest part of Beastmaster is just going for that Necro, having a Hawk to scout things out. It opens up the Roche. You kill it so quickly. The tower push. This hero is just insanely good. Like, he checks a lot of the boxes.
You're playing with Tiny as well, so perhaps you can abuse the toss early on in the laning stage. That's something that they might do. But overall, what he as well gives is that vision versus Batrider. Like, it's very important to have a lot of vision versus Bat to prevent him from getting those early pickoffs. So Beastmaster overall is pretty solid for them. But I think they just needed a solid offlaner here that gives them the tower push objective taking capabilities like Lacoste said, and it synergizes fairly well with the Gyrocopter too.
Is there anything that they can do to make the boar easier to deal with? Because right now, neither of these supports are particularly strong at dealing with it.
I mean, Fade Bolt is kind of okay, but I don't think they're going to be laning against each other. You have pretty clear what FlyToMoon's doing. You have Drow Ranger plus Venge as your lane, and you have like these two probably as the off lane. They could swap things around, put Batrider on the mid, and then have different offlaner, but this is the problem. Like, they don't deal well with the boar.
You don't deal well with the boar from level 3, but until then you can have a very dominant lane.
Yeah,
as Venge and Drow.
So from minute 0 to 2.5 minutes around.
So your point is to your plan, at least in this draft, is to be as aggressive in the laning stage usually to prevent him from getting his level 3 for as long as possible. And then once he does get it, perhaps Drow is already going to have 2 raid bans, and then you'll be able to, at least one, and you'll be able to kill off that boar a little bit easier.
So both teams, judging by the bans, they think the other team is going to go for the mid laner. That Prophet banned out. I think that's a very solid ban from OG, where it does not allow them to group up as 5. The Roche taking potential is there, more tower damage. And this is the hero that creates a lot of attention, wants the big kill straight away, so you take away some of the attention from the Drow Ranger.
Yeah, and you see from OG the Dead Prophet and Dragonite bans, these are pretty much your sturdy, safe objective takers from the mid lane. Yeah, Drow can be considered that, but she, right now, the way she's played, it takes a little bit of time for her to come online. And with something like Dragonite or DP in front, it would allow FlyToMoon to snowball a little bit in that mid game, which could provide enough resources for Drow as well to be unkillable.
Conker is my name.
Alright, this is your sturdy frontliner for FlyToMoon. Doesn't really get countered a lot by... there aren't many heroes that can deal with him that are also in the meta. This is their comfort zone. If you remember, just a month ago, Iceberg played a lot of Kunkka with that Aghanim Scepter too. And it gives you some extra teamfight potential with the Drow. That vote comes in handy. Plus you have X marks the spot for catching people out in Elder Titan.
Well, this is what we were expecting to not expect from OG, which is something outside of the ordinary. So, who's the 4 position here, gentlemen?
I think it's Tops and Tiny, right, on the mid lane then, versus the Kunkka.
Versus Kunkka,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
the age-old matchup in which either one of these two can win.
But I love the Kunkka pick from FlyToMoon. Like, you can't just purge that off with the shield. It's gonna be that disable, low cooldown disable that they needed, you know, to just split up the fight, and it's a pretty good setup.
I have to say that I love the Elder Titan, and I'm looking forward at seeing what they can do with it. Usually it's one of those heroes that can stop these early advances with Astral Spirit and Stomp, and you can break fights apart a little bit later on. I'm actually very excited to see which way he'll go and what he'll build and how the team fights are going to go.
I thought it's typically strong against like zoo builds though. Whenever you have a bunch of units like a Nature's Prophet that you can walk all over, that's what makes the ET strong. But here it's just kind of heroes. So why do you still like the ET?
No, I'm just excited to see what he's going to do. That's it. Like, it's OG. There's a reason why they picked this Elder Titan, even though it might not be completely obvious to us at first. But usually it is strong versus early advances, versus these early pushes. FlyToMoon can go that way, so maybe that's the team.
It's a great counter-initiating hero, and
That's true.
it could also be a mid Thompson. You don't know.
That's what I was hoping for. That's why I was like, why you seem so confident on Thompson Tiny? Give him some wiggle room.
He's been, you know, considered as a counter to Meepo. You get Aghanim Scepter, you have BKB. You just keep on fighting. And this is the like perfect hero that just runs in with the Tiny backing him up with the Aphotic Shield on him. It's a possibility. Like, it's OG, so you never know what's going to happen. We just have to see.
Then I'll get a quick prediction from both of you guys. Lacoste, which way are you leaning?
I still feel like OG, you know, is a much better team, no doubt about it.
Odds
their
also indicated that.
Yeah, and their execution lately has been, I would say, on point, where they just run at you and don't allow you to actually make any kind of recovery.
Lizard, same way.
When it comes to the skill preference and team preference, I'm definitely leaning OG, but I don't understand their draft well enough to go with them. I think FlyToMoon's draft is pretty solid too.
All right,
I like what they have.
Let's see what heroes and what players are doing what as we jump into the game and toss it to the casters.
No doubt there's going to be a lot of people out there backing Team OG. After all, they're usually the favorites in most matches, and FlyToMoon isn't the most well-known team. But, Brian, the last time these two teams faced up against each other was actually FlyToMoon who walked away with a victory. It was 3 months ago in the ESL 1 Birmingham group stage.
Wow. That's quite some homework you did there, Cap. I love watching OG. I love just the way they play, even if it doesn't work. And I do like what Lizard said about both drafts. I think FlyToMoon coming into this series, since OG is so good at creating chaos, let's just have a game plan. A lineup that plays itself pretty straightforward. You know, Drow's going to be in the back dealing damage. Kunkka and Rubik can look to single target initiate, like in a way that doesn't commit, while if we do find that one opening, Batrider goes in. That's pretty straightforward teamfight execution, like a series of events of abilities casted. While on the other hand, I like this Elder Titan last pick because I think they had some damage issues against the Kunkka. And Elder Titan's all about that aura, right? All about buffing up that AoE magic and physical damage that they have a lot of coming from the other heroes.
Yeah, it's always nice, like, Elder Titan is, he's perfect when you just want more. You know, like magic damage lineup, physical damage lineup, it doesn't really matter. ET will help out either one. And he provides a lot of damage himself, whether it's a laning phase, punching people all the time, or it's that big Earth Splitter. If you have the combo with it, and they've got a couple, at least one really good stun in the Primal Roar that can maybe set it up.
I like how FlyToMoon have swapped up the lanes. They've kept the same players on the same heroes. Like they put Iceberg on the Kunk on the off lane, but they put the Bat mid against the Tiny. I thought it wasn't going to be a Tiny mid originally because of the Bat Rider. So then when they picked the Kunk, I think that's why OG left the Tiny as the mid. And since FlyToMoon saw that, they're like, okay, I guess we'll just put the Bat as mid, maybe like we originally intended. So I think lane swaps are really important on any skill level of team, and the Batten just makes a Bat Rider so useless in lane. He removes all your stuff, and you give him enough stick charges to continuously do it.
Let's see how General does fare. Obviously a great Bat Rider player, as it's kind of one of his iconic heroes, but we'll see how he adjusts to playing out in that 1v1 mid.
It definitely affects the matchups at all when you go mid. It's funny to see the difference between Weehaw and General already. With Weehaw, I see the double Sage's Mask straight into bots, not a single stat item, while in General, I'm seeing a double Null Talisman. So completely different approach to the same hero in the mid lane.
And why do you think there is a preference for stats from General compared to the regen?
I think it's nice against Tiny, and it's more about like this consistent power spike. Like you don't hit like a specific moment where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to play Bat. But with the Boots of Travel build, it's like, okay, once I have Boots of Travel, I can be anywhere on the map. The way I play the game is different. So I think as an offlaner, you're not used to getting these like luxury items. You're used to getting this like, this is how much impact I can have as early as I possibly can. And I think that's what he's going for with all these just efficient stat items in the Null Talismans.
Yeah. Statting up might also help him survive through the Tiny Burst and may give him just enough damage amplification that he needs to kill a tankier hero.
I thought about that last game too, but then he didn't itemize that way on Wii against the Puck. I thought a similar concept, so I know what you're going for, and I was surprised he didn't last game. So I can get behind exactly what General is going for, but I'm much more of a off-lane mindset person myself than a mid laner.
Well, no matter how it's going, what items is being picked up right now, looks like OG is doing pretty well for themselves in all three of the lanes right now, as they're pretty much even in CS. All of them having about 10 or 11 now.
Looks like everyone's getting theirs. I'd say Beastmaster's one of my like closet picks of the tournament. Like he's a sleeper hero. I think people value him. He is picked sometimes, but I'm almost surprised he's not picked more. Every time I see this hero, it seems to have massive impact. It's always scary to play against, and unless you just completely shut it down early, the mere tower pressure he represents on whatever lane he's in is just, it's so like overbearing sometimes.
So you think maybe he'll start coming out of the closet maybe towards playoffs?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's only going to go up his pick rate this tournament as we see a crazy back and forth. I like the TP from No-Tail. Talked about how good a Batten is against Bat Rider in the lane. Why not just put yourself in his lane temporarily? Any hero dying in that lane is really bad for the Bat Rider Tiny matchup because both heroes are very snowbally kill heroes. So if they die once, they're almost certainly going to die again because Tiny will have more damage on his burst combo and Bat Rider will have more points up in the sticky napalm to buff up all the spells.
It is going to be a little bit of a difference here just because they've got maybe the better rotation hero.
All the regen.
In the event. Regen. Super nice. He gets a little bit of bottle hit here. General, he wants to be able to punish Thompson for being so far out here. He's going to go for the Flame Break and the Firefly, but an instant TP went out. Meanwhile, First Blood does get claimed bottom by Seb. His life is traded away, and they actually get 2 kills out of the situation. So maybe that was actually worth it for FlyToMoon, even though they didn't get that coveted First Blood.
That's the dream, because not only did the Drow get the double kill, but her support also died, so the support can give you all the items that you just got gold for.
Yeah.
So suddenly you have this like free Wraith Band from 2 kills, and you can also get all your health and mana back to full. Sometimes it's almost worse if the support lives, because you're like, okay, now we both have 200 health and no mana. What now? They come back with full health, full mana, and we lose the lane anyway.
He's also 27-5, so this is going to be a very farm Drow Ranger. And I have to say, like, Drow Ranger has been I've always kind of been questioning this pick when I've seen it in the tournament, but if you get enough of a laning phase start, I feel like this hero can just take over the game.
I would say it's second only to Anti-Mage in terms of the most miserable carry for offlaners to lane against right now. In my experience so far, every time I'm against Drow, it's like, God, this lane sucks.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, just having a powerful laning carry that eventually scales to do a lot of damage, it's just a nice luxury to have if you can fit it into the draft.
Being beaten to a pulp here.
Level 2 boar, OP.
Yeah.
That death, not so good.
Yeah.
Gotta be wary of that pressure with the catapult.
Fortunately, Venge can hang around until she respawns. Top lane is the Rubik Kunkka, which don't really think they're going to be able to pressure that gyrocopter too much until maybe they hit the level 6 area. So even as No Tail is away, it's still kind of okay. General, oh, he's going to try and bump him away with a flame break, and that toss of the branch wasn't quite enough, but Thompson's pretty fast. He tries to go for the deny, but No Tail claims him with the miscoil instead.
I love that OG is willing to pick a Batten. Whenever a hero is super popular in the meta, like Batrider in this case, I feel like whatever heroes hard counter it, have to go up in value. I feel like they have to. A Batten ruins Batrider. He's an oracle that you can't lasso. Like, that's how I look at a Batten. And not only is he an oracle in terms of the fact that he saves his team, but rather than his save being his ultimate on like a 1.5 long cooldown, it's a Photic Shield, which once maxed out is a 6-second cooldown. So very different there. You can pick, since they picked the Abaddon support second into the bat, they can then pick whatever they want in the core roles. Heroes that are normally countered by Batrider, like you saw there, Tiny normally would be way too afraid to contest the Batrider at the rune, but with the Abaddon behind him, that changes everything. So I really love that.
So you're saying you'd be a big fan of a team picking up Omni Knight?
No, Abaddon's way better. Well, way better than Omni Knight, guys. Let's be clear. I think Abaddon just like traditionally
so
has always
raises
been
their priority, but within reason.
Yeah,
they still have to be somewhat functional.
Yeah. Let's not start digging into the trash cans here.
Mid one, he's going to take time out in the jungle here, but Thompson, he runs right past Always Want to Fly.
That's
and
a
he's
lot
going to
of
go for V2. Really wants to be able to get on top of him. V2, and he's put himself in a beautiful little corner here to pump out some damage. Nobody's died just yet. Thompson picks up a tree and chucks it over at the support Always Want to Fly. He goes down, but they didn't get their original target. V2 survives and gets a double kill again.
Sick positioning from him there. As you said, he tucked himself in that little corner. I don't enjoy playing Tiny into Drow, because unless you get the Blink Dagger, you kind of just want to walk in and combo people, and Drow's one of the few heroes that can almost just kill you along the way, especially this early on. That split shot just does so much damage. And,
yeah, he doesn't even have the gust yet. That's another going to be a big problem for Tiny later on.
Absolutely. The Kunkka's also going to make it so that Tiny burst combo is just not quite enough to bring down the Drow in the mid game. He's probably going to go that early Dragon Lance, and that's a big failed rotation, is what I'm trying to say in a lot more words than that.
Now the score is 4-4. OG are still slightly leading in net worth, but I have to agree. I think that was really going to slow down OG's timing here. And I'm happy to see FlyToMoon performing well in this laning phase, because I remember watching them at ESL1 Birmingham thinking, like, these guys were pretty good. They actually made it into playoffs. I think they got 4th in their group. And I was like, okay, I could see this being like the CIS team that maybe takes over. Always Want to Fly, though. The sacrificial 5 position will just keep on dying, as Thompson, never one to let failure slow him down. A failed rotation, it almost seems like fuel to him. He's like, oh, well, I'll do it again then.
Yeah, I think his mindset fits perfectly with Seb as as an in-game leader, because with my experience with Seb and Pub so far, is he's just like, hey guys, no fear of death. We are strong as 5. Go! And it's like you fail. He's like, I know we lost the last fight, guys, but let's go again.
But this time.
What's the worst that could happen? We lose again? Okay, well, if that happens too many times, then yeah, that's why I'm not OG. But at the end of the day, I do like his mentality here. Like, you have to take that tower. Beastmaster is an offlaner that heavily relies on getting those early objectives, and usually, if you can't do it alone, it's nice to just have that mid laner rotate in for you. And I like V-Tune's move top, saying, okay, I don't want to contest this Beastmaster directly. We're going to take this tier 1. Instead, he gets caught by Beastmaster anyways.
Nice
Just
catch.
on the opposite side. And
they do have the Torrent Boat, but that's certainly not going to be enough.
Yeah, that's a huge kill, right? He was on a dominating kill streak already, and that goes to the carry. That goes to mid 1. 365 gold. 1 gold per day of the year, sir.
10-minute runes coming up. Thompson. Okay. Yeah, he could have been lassoed at any point, so Thompson
He might just die now.
wisely does cancel his TP, but he's probably still going to be caught here
Firefly.
as he picks up his face boots, and maybe that'll start getting him some distance. We have the TP coming in from the Abat, and he's going to join in and save Thompson's life. Roger heads back to that bounty rune. He did steal the Aphotic Shield to toss over, but doesn't land in time. No-Tail finds that his ultimate's going to be popped here automatically. They're going to try and go for General. More TPs are going to be coming in here. He's going to be able to get the combo. That finishes off General. Roger, with his Aphotic Shield, it does make himself rather tanky. He's going to re-steal it again. And Iceberg is finally going to be able to show up. If you get an X on somebody here, tries to go for the Blind Torrent, misses. Thompson turns around on him. And now this is some rotations for FlyToMoon that's going to go terribly as Iceberg immediately woken up. But here comes the saving grace. It's going to be their draw range. The stun comes out from the vent. They throw off the damage, and all of a sudden OG are melting. Thompson hopes for one last attempt at a kill. Some damage goes out. And, well, he does manage to at least kill Iceberg on his way out.
Dude, draw hurts, man. That's crazy how much damage that does. They've given her some stat gains buffs and random base agilities and base armors. A lot of her stats. She's just the same hero that suddenly, as we see top, Seb overextending just a bit.
In general, he's going to stay ahead of Mid1, too.
Okay. Seb, that's a big feed. I don't know. Like, that's just trying to make a solo play with no one else around and didn't quite have enough damage. I can see what he's going for, but suddenly, I would say this effectively is kind of an off-lane bat. Like, the way it's going to function in the game, it's an off-laner. It's similar net worth to the Beastmaster as well, and you're just feeding a one-for-one kill there that drastically swings in his favor since Beastmaster was pulling ahead of him before that.
Yeah. I wonder if that maybe simply, that misread just comes down to the fact that Batrider probably had a bit more levels than, you know, you're normally used to.
High strength gain on that hero. And he has those stat items, right?
Yeah. True.
That kind of stuff can make a drastic difference when he lives with like 100 health and you're like, I thought I had enough damage to kill that guy. Iceberg, the only level 7 Kunkka.
Yeah.
He's definitely the offlaner in that regard. I wouldn't say Kunkka's the ideal hero to be in this type of spot. He wants to be able to play lanes. I think that's the issue. Kunkka wants to walk up to creeps and Tidebringer him down, and he is not able to be independent on the map this game. He kind of stuck playing with his team all game, so he's going to be under-leveled for a while.
Even better if he has the strength to just threaten people. The boat's going to come in here. It's going to land on a No-Tail. He pops borrow time to soak up that damage. They're trying to play around this tier 1 tower, but now Seb coming in from the side. Primal Roar goes out. Roger actually stealing the borrow time there from No-Tail. Tries to soak up as much damage as possible, and Thompson, he gets hit by the Torrent. Will slow down for the Frost Arrows. Beautifully played by FlyToMoon, really pulling OG back behind that tier 1 tower farther and farther. And now, I think they're hoping to be able to find another kill, but General, he should find it a little difficult to get a lasso on anybody with No-Tail kind of sitting around. Couple of shots. Oh! One arrow straight to the booty. It brings down Big Daddy No-Tail.
Yeah, that's he's gonna have trouble going to the bathroom tonight, man.
Let's hope he's one of those belly sleepers, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And here we go, the classic
man.
EU.
You got to be careful. Swap back into the Dro Ranger. General has his Firefly up. The X pulled him back in, but another swap from Always On a Fly. He says, I'll give up my life if I can bring down Thompson. He may not even have to do that. The Aphotic Shield was keeping him alive for a little bit. Now the lasso's going to go down and catch his Soxa. So for support, but with the Thompson kill on top of that and FlyToMoon, turn this aggression into a tier 1 tower as well. This is looking very good for the CIS team.
The classic 5-on-5 that started behind the tier 1 of FlyToMoon that lasts for like a minute and a half and then turns into a tier 1 objective in their favor as 2 OG members die at their own tier 1.
Mm-hmm.
How many people died there? That was a lot. But I love this. I used to not understand this. I'm not going to lie to you. As an NA player, you're like, why aren't these guys hitting creeps like this?
Why aren't they farming?
This looks like, you know, I'm back home right now where he's farming in ancient stacks or soaking the XP. That's what I'm all about. But you play EU pubs, man, this is the life they live. You're like, guys, we're fighting again? Okay. And you, if you try to hit creeps, you just get flamed by 4 people and rush it. So I can see where the sources of this happen. As Iceberg and the rest of FlyToMoon are smoked up, ready to go for round 5.
Oh, Thompson meets that 4-man smoke ink with a nicely timed avalanche.
Can't believe nobody got a spell off there.
Don't walk into that high ground. Oh, it's always dangerous, but Roger, he's feeling good about it. He's like, I've got a Phonic Shield. It's going to be fine, guys. It's going to be fine. No, it's not fine at all. I'm dead, and I might have just killed Iceberg, too. Always want to fly. He's going to be there to save him. Nice Gus push back, and the boat's going to come in as well. That actually may turn things around as Thompson getting quite low, but General doesn't feel like he can commit, nor should he with No Tail ready to go with that Phonic Shield. Always removing those sticky napalm stacks, slowing down the damage, but Thompson, he's running the opposite direction of the rest of his team. They all went up, and he ran down and to the right. Does separate them a little bit, but fortunately the rest of his team shows back up in time to bail him out. Gets a kill on the bench as well. Flame break, bump onto 3, but that's going to be the end of it. FlyToMoon. I think they're going to think twice about going up into that high ground again.
Almost has the Acceptor done on mid one. He's pretty damn farmed. That's where you really start to feel the impact of that death from Drow top, just spurring his farm that much farther forward as he's now only 600 gold ahead of her, but that's all basically from that one kill. And that Acceptor is going to be pretty nice for him this game. They lack single target damage to follow up the Beastmaster. Yeah, they have the tiny toss combo, but I'm talking about like sustained damage throughout the course of the fight. And that's what Acceptor has really changed about Gyro more than anything. He's always been that flak damage AoE, but with that Acceptor, he's going to be able to bring down heroes like the Kunkka as well as everyone else buffed up by the boat. And he's going for the Halberd, though, on Iceberg. Does have the gold for it. We'll be getting it delivered shortly. But Halberd does not disarm that side gunner. So diminishing returns in that regard.
I do like the fact that FlyToMoon is just meeting OG's aggression.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that they are willing to 5-man up, because OG, you look at the stats, they're like the team that has the most kills, deaths, assists, like any of those metrics. Out of all the teams here, just like they're always fighting nonstop.
And you can't counter it any other way. You can't deny it. You're like, I'm just going to act like they're not going to do this, and we're going to farm. If you try to farm, they'll just pick you off nonstop, especially with a hero like Beastmaster on their team, as well as Tiny. And I like how the way OG plays really says, like, join us or die, you know? Or die when you join us, you know? Both.
They kind of force you to play their game. And everyone's had to kind of address and adjust to that. They're going to try and sneak in the tier 1 tower, and that's what Thompson does. So finally finishes up, even things up.
The tension in these moments, man. It's just like both teams know each other are there, like basically mirroring each other's movements on the map. One team takes over the opponent's jungle and vice versa. And the mid lane is what it's all about. Usually the team with map control ends up being the team that's pushing mid, because both side lanes are getting pushed. As you see, bottom's in favor of Dire, top's in favor of Radiant. And now OG, they kind of dictate what the next move is going to be, all because they have that mid lane pushed in. And you can see Radiant, they're scared, right? They're like, okay, is OG moving our way? They're scanning the river to detect those movements, and it's simply just Tiny picking up an illusion rune. But these are the spots where the luxury that OG gets out of this map control is that they get to separate into two pieces, where you see Gyro farming by himself bottom, while the other 4 are mid, while FlyToMoon only has 1 lane to themselves.
Yeah, mid one, what would end up happening is FlyToMoon would have to make, like, several TPs down to, like, bottom tier 2, bottom tier 3,
and then they might just go 5-man on you with
OG,
right? And you're 1-by-1 feeding, so it's really awkward. And that's the power of Beastmaster. This is where this hero's strategical advantages come into play. The sheer, like, push power of the summons in the mid lane without exposing your hero. Terrorblade's a similar idea when he gets ahead. It's why these heroes scale so well into the late game, that mid lane pushing control. As they also seem to prioritize that with their ward vision from OG. Look at those wards around the mid lane, as they look like they might be trying to take a fight top, but I think this is more so like, okay, we already pushed in bottom, we got the farm we wanted. During the 19-minute mark, we can make our way back towards bottom or choose a fight. That's the 2 options they're left with. And do they want to invade the triangle? That's quite a ballsy move at sub 20 minutes in the game, but they might be looking to contest those bounties coming up in the next 40 seconds.
Yeah, we saw how FlyToMoon tried to invade the triangle, and it didn't work out so well for them.
I don't know about when Rubik's leading the charge. That's a little bit different. I guess he had a shield on him, so he's effectively the Abaddon, without the ult.
Yeah, that was the other thing. You were talking about the Beastmaster and kind of the vision and control he offers in the map, and Abadan's another hero that kind of operates like that, right? Because he's able to function. Yeah, he's able to be so far forward because it's like, well, what are they going to do? Like, are they going to jump on an Abadan? Not really.
Yep, he's an Oracle you can't lasso, Cap. That's if you play Bat a lot, you get used to playing against Abadan because that's one of the most common counter picks. And NA, it even became a carry. And that's when you know we've really lost our minds.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if OG does go for that invasion. Seb's going to be found. He's focusing on controlling up his boards and such, but he is very tanky. But Iceberg is there to meet him on the other side, and this is Seb all alone here in the top lane.
Hey, man, I'll quote the dead lane concept any day.
Yeah,
you know why it exists? Because you can't play 3 lanes at once past the 15-minute mark. Otherwise, you feed. What was happening? Mid 1 farm bottom. Thompson was farming mid, and they're like, hey, we see some boars up here. He has to be here, and he has to be alone because we see 2 other heroes in 2 other lanes. Let's kill somebody. And a little bit of, I'd just say, too much greed coming out from Seb there. But at the end of the day, they didn't get any objectives off that. There was no Roshan taken, no tier 2 taken. So it's just a death. You know, no price to be paid further than that. But still, you do need to be careful of being too spread out on the map, which is surprising to see from OG because they're not like the Team Nigmas, you know, split pushers of the world.
It sounds to me like Seb maybe needs to invest some of those TI winnings into
coaching sessions, absolutely.
Into some promo code, actually.
Nah, I'm sure he knows. I usually with players, like when they communicate, they're like that. They'll say like, "Hey, man, I'm pushing top, like I'm showing," and they know they're in danger, but they're trying to get away with it.
Yeah,
they know that, and it's like they're trying to eke out that little bit more efficiency. And the goal is to do that as often as possible without the feeding part.
Right.
As OG looks like they've now TP'd mid 1 to mid to join up with the rest of the team, showing the ET as to be conspicuous, and they are looking to take a fight around the top half of the map. Maybe turn into Roche, more so because the Beastmaster TP'd here, so they don't want to be fighting without him. They have siege control of the triangle, maybe going to get a ward up if possible. Does No-Tail was a sentry.
Kind of rotation. It's going to surprise FlyToMoon. Surely he's going to be able to hop on in, be able to catch Always Want to Fly and Iceberg in that beautiful initiation of theirs. Instantly, those 2 heroes are gone, and FlyToMoon's on the run.
And they're going to try to turn that into a Roche immediately. Beeline. I love the way that the TPs, of course, affect the movements of the smokes. Like, you'd think if they're smoking from OG, normally they've been playing bottom all game, but since Seb TP top, they took like the upward and, you know, reach around approach to meet up in the mid lane at about the same time Seb could get there. Because if they went there any more directly, they would have been there too early and been potentially fighting a 4v5. So it's really cool it's just so crisp. That's what I like to watch here. And turning that into a quick objective as well, they had that in mind. That's probably why the Beastmaster originally TP'd top, thinking that they wanted to play that part of the map now, not really caring about the bottom anymore now they've gotten tier 1 bottom and mid. And they're going to turn that into another tower as well. So that's the difference between the kill on Seb compared to the kill that OG got, because that is 2 big objectives for them.
Yeah, and now the triangle is even more open. So they take away that tier 1 offlane tower. And FlyToMoon's map is getting smaller and smaller. Now if they want to be able to like try and be extra efficient, they have to push into like far right side Radiant jungle. That doesn't really feel like a great place to be.
And now with the Gyrags, not only did I mention single target damage on heroes, but single target damage includes towers. You see just much faster with that Solar Crest buff up, the 40 attack speed aura. He's got the Abadan to save him, so he's not too scared of getting committed onto. One of the best high ground siegers in the game, especially once he gets up that Satanic later. And they may even continue forcing the issue, but I'm perfectly content that they choose not to.
General, he gets caught by Tops, and they have that ward on the high ground, and General is forced to use his BKB
That's
here.
his only item, man. That's just like, was that his 10-second BKB?
Yeah, I think it was.
That's brutal. That is not how you want to use that.
No. No, not at all. Is BKB, like, I'm just not sure what his item is supposed to be, because he's got Beastmaster on the other side, and he's got Abadan on the other side.
The problem
it
is
feels like he's just not going to have a good game.
Not only is it that you can't blink and reliably lasso because of the Abadan, but you also have heroes like Tiny Gyro that just kind of kill you the second you blink in, right? So you do have to... the reason why he's going BKB before blink is without the BKB, I imagine he blinks in and just dies instantly. So his idea is to reverse the order of the items, thinking maybe I'll be able to run in, buy some time, maybe Abadan's used a shield, and you see an opportunity. Exactly. And obviously they're not ideal to use it to survive. But definitely would be pretty hard to execute in fights with just a BK or just a Blink Dagger. Queuing up
You know,
the
I
rapier.
thought this meta was maybe dead. We were seeing Medusas, and I wasn't seeing any Divine Rapiers, but Mid1 says, no, it's very much still alive.
He does have the Abaddon to help him, like make him more survivable, similar to a Dusa, but you're against Venge, man. I don't know. That's a little bit scary to try to go high ground with a rapier.
Venge Dro Ranger, too.
It's just like that. You can't save from the displacement of Venge, right? So I would be surprised if he goes through with it. But hey, you know, I'm down for a more interesting game. Well, not that it's been a bad game so far, but OG is definitely in a commanding spot. And nothing is better than knowing one little small mistake could spell doom for OG here. Yeah,
the plus he's a gyrocopter with no like damage mitigation. He's got no additional armor, right? He pretty much all his base armor, which Dro can cut through. You've got like no butterfly or anything like that.
Did you know Drow ult gives True Strike?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
it's really bad to buy Butterfly, generally speaking, against Drow, just because she's effectively got like a 40% MKB at level 18. So she does have the Crystallis, something I see sometimes, just a little bit of a value damage item because your ult does crit. So it buffs. You mostly get it for that extra little 130% that you're getting out of that cheap item. I think it's like 1,900 gold now. It's super cheap.
Yeah.
But he's going to be forced to go for a BKB of his own. And I don't know, it's just the issue I have with the FlyToMoon lineup is that okay, we're good now, I think.
Everyone just got it out of their system all at once.
Yeah, they just don't have a hero that can play the map by themselves, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying. Batrider's the best, but usually when Batrider plays the map, he wants to also be able to threaten kills wherever he is. In this game, he's going to have to play completely passive whenever he's farming. He can't show in lanes for more than maybe one creep wave. And the rest of the team is stuck in base, while OG is able to navigate the map freely. And a lot of that just has to do with the counter picks they've come up with and the way they've constructed their lineup. But looks like they're just trying to get a little bit more structural damage towards the tail end of that Aegis. It is going to be expiring pretty soon as the 27-minute neutral items are also coming out. I love to try to stack camps right before the new neutral items. You know, Mid1, I'm a little bit disappointed that he killed that camp there. You're supposed to stack it, man. Get those neutral items ASAP.
Nothing feels better when like you stack an ancient camp, you clear it real quickly, you get like 2-3 neutral items right away.
It's a habit I'm trying to get into. I wonder if these teams discuss it at all, because I know the Tier 1 teams will like really try to eke out any efficiency they can, and so far I haven't seen it too often. But
what I really enjoy is when a team actually goes offensive during that timing, right? Because
it's like,
they
know they're going to try to hit creeps.
Yeah, especially if they like will farm an ancient camp real quickly and they just immediately smoke up. You get like 2 or 3 neutral items, and you know the enemy team's probably doing the same.
Yeah, absolutely. The neutral items are balanced in my opinion, but they're only balanced because both teams get them, right? So if you can get them real quick and then make a move off of that small power spike, that's something that's nothing to shake. It is something to worry about in these games for sure.
It goes into the psychology of Dota, right? Where you get sometimes into these patterns of like, okay, you know, like the repeating like farming patterns. Like, okay, I'm going to push this top lane. Then they try and deal with the push. I go to bottom lane. You go this back and forth. You get lazy. You get a little bit too comfortable. And that's where teams that are more willing to shake things up and get really active and disrupt the pattern can find themselves free pickoffs.
Yeah, anything that you know the enemy team cares about as an objective, even if that's just neutral creeps, is an easy way to read their movements and trigger a successful movement from your team to punish. So. What are we seeing here? A gem picked up early. For what exactly? Just the Hawk, maybe? Map control?
Yeah, I think they feel like they can't be stuck inside their base anymore. They kind of have to push out, and the only way they could do so comfortably is if they know where the Hawk and they know where the wards are.
They've caught the Abaddon.
That is one of the biggest problems. He's just like a wall. You want to push outside of your base, and you're like, we had to go through the Abaddon first.
They do get a ward up, and they did force his ult, so he is killable now. But, I don't know. Like, what are you going to do with that exactly? They know you want to make a move. Like, OG knows this. All 3 lanes are getting pushed in.
Yeah.
They're just playing for next Roche.
I think OG even knows you probably have the ward on the high ground, so they back away from that. And they may not know that you have a high ground right there, but it's not the most rare ward in the game, that's for sure.
That's about as common as the Pudge picks in my pubs right now.
You fan of the persona? I've seen
I think it's a really cool persona.
About it.
I really like it, except for the fact that it makes people pick Pudge. That's about the worst thing about it. I think the sound effects are the best part. If you ever hear the ult, it's like a squeaky toy whenever when you're ulting them.
Really?
Yeah, you like turn them into your own squeaky toy. I think it's really cleverly done. But you know, some people love to whine about stuff on the internet.
Aghanim Scepter almost done for the Tiny. I never know when you're supposed to go Aghanims on Tiny. Like if you're supposed to get it after the Echo Saber, or if you should get one damage item first, like a Crystallis, you know, just a baseline Crystallis before you get the Ags.
I think it's the moment in the game where you think you're going to be in the back primarily. Like right now, he's never really going to be in front. You've got the Beastmaster to initiate if you need it. You've got Gyro, who's going to be Solar Crested and Abaddon shielding him. So Tiny, he's on his own. Like, he's doing his job independent of what his team's doing, so he's just going to capitalize on their movements, right?
Benj is like, don't leave me! Don't leave me behind! Oh, God!
See?
Oh, no, General! It is an attempt. Oh, God, are they going to lose the gem, too? No-Tail picks it up. What a disaster. He tried to stick around. He tried to make sure always want to fly. He held the door open for him. He was motioning, come on, buddy, you can make it. And then they both get whomped on by Thompson's Aghanims pickup. And now with a toss back of Iceberg, he's going to be in some trouble. Tossed right into the arms of Mid-1. Fortunately, Heaven's Halberd really slows down that damage.
And he's just going to Satanic right back to full.
Firing out at V2. Nice turnaround for Staff with the stolen Aquatic Shield as well. So that's going to get the Primal Roar down. Problem is, they're still fighting 3 versus 5, and now Iceberg has been tossed back into potentially his doom. The gust goes down, but it's not enough to save him.
Torrent Storm, use it!
Use it! Where's the Torrent Storm? He never got it off. The swap back in does manage to kill Saksa here. Mid-1 going all the way into the fountain here. V2, is he going to die underneath the fountain? Mid-1's going for it. BKB, dive a little bit more, but he's been lasso pulled back. Thank God he didn't have the Divine Rapier. They're going to buy back on V2 as well, and surely they've got it stunned. They do. Telekinesis, that's going to stop No-Tail. So, they lose no barracks. They don't lose a tier 3 either, BSJ.
They did force the Drow buyback, but he got all of it back and then some. I will say, for a second there, I couldn't remember if OG got the Aegis or not. And I was like, did they take Roche? I don't think they did. And then, you know, there's Mid-1 in the fountain. So the one problem with being BKB'd is you can't be shielded.
Yeah.
So if you BKB and then get lassoed, you know, it's working against you here. That's about, it's funny to think this, but General's best window is when the Gyro BKBs.
And now their best window to turn this game around is, okay, we just want to fight against OG. Roshan is up. If we can win one more fight here, take Roshan for ourselves, like, who knows? Maybe they can actually turn this whole game around.
It's all about this Roche. If they get the Roche off that, man, that's a game-throwing dive right there. But if not, if still the game goes back to status quo, OG takes over map control the next 30 seconds to a minute, get Roche, we're right back where we started. And that's not in the fountain. That's map control.
15 to 20. 11,000 net worth lead still for OG, even after their bit of a dip into the fountain.
That mid lane push is so important in these spots. Here we go again. Same rinse and repeat. 33 minutes in now.
FlyToMoon, they're going to ignore that mid creep wave in favor of playing in this high ground and poking at the Roshan pit while OG is there. No-Tail, he's daring them to come down from that hill they're currently on. And all this damage, I mean, they're just kind of poking, but Mid-1's at full health. Whether it's the Vlads that's helping him out or a couple of heals from No-Tail.
Or the Satanic Paladin Sword.
Yeah. Oh, Paladin Sword, man. Whew.
They nerfed it, but with the Satanic, still a very good item.
Yeah, certainly. Can we get some sort of swap play in? Roshan, it's so low. They're going to have to... Oh, OG is actually going to take the fight to them here as they come out. They have the Hawk with the Vision. The two supports, they've been caught out of position. The swap back onto Roger. He gets off the Aphotic Shield. The Torrent Storm's going to go down. Actually landing nicely onto these two heroes, but V-Tune has been chased away so far. He's going to turn around and kill Soxa with the lasso combination, but that's just the support. It took him so long to kill him too. And now V-Tune's being chased by the Gyrocopter. He got hit by the Air Splitter. Fortunately, the rest of the team is there to bail him out, but Iceberg is still in some trouble. And it looks like Mid-1 didn't care that there was 4 heroes all sitting around the same area. He just BKB, manned up just like he did in the fountain. He's going to do it again. Try and chase down V-Tune. V-Tune, another 4-step, a little bit closer to the fountain. He does get saved by the Link. It's now the turnaround. He getting the damage in. Gyrocopter in trouble. Mid-1, if you dove too far, once again, he throws it away. No-Tail, he dies as well. The Roshan.
It's at like
Roshan
10%.
was super low. Is OG going to buy back? I think they have to. I think they have to TP in.
Yeah. I love the play they did where they lowered the Roche so far that if FlyToMoon backed off far enough instead of fighting them, they could have just taken Roche.
Oh, General gets caught by Thompson.
But then they just chased him all the way to base again, man. I was like, oh, they're like zoning him away from Roche. If they don't fight them here, OG can just walk back in and kill it. But then they decided, I'll just go into Fountain again. And Mid1 maybe going to consider an Assault Cuirass here. Maybe they, maybe some armor, because that Drow like 5-shotted him.
Yeah, his current strategy, I don't think, is very conducive to a Divine Rapier pick.
Yeah, please. Usually you pick a Rapier where you're like, oh, I don't think it's very easy for them to kill me. And right there, you seem to like their Fountain Mid1. Those strategy. I like people's way of playing the game to synergize with their items, right? And that it just isn't adding up for me right now. Holy crap! Is that an enchanted quiver?
That is definitely
an enchanted quiver. Yeah, plus the Venge, right? Plus the Venge aura, plus the Dragon Lance.
He's just kind of poking at him right now. Every single enchanted quiver hit, he gets one shot in.
One shot, one opportunity.
Yeah, but I don't swap back. That's going to be enough to save the Drone Ranger for now. Trapped inside, Thompson.
Freaking like 1200 range.
Here comes a Torrent Storm, and Mid1, he's being chain stunned quite a bit. They're going to go for Seb now. Another Torrent just barely misses Seb. Left-hand side, No-Tail trying to bail out Thompson. Thompson is able to get away, but No-Tail does go down. That's a dieback for him.
Thompson had to cheese.
Force Staff gets him out of range of the
double Crystallis.
X. Yeah, double Crystallis.
I'm down, man. I'm actually down.
I mean, your back's against the wall. You need as much cheap damage as you can get.
Yeah, and you're also going for the Enchanted Quiver play where you want as much value out of one hit as possible. So it just makes sense.
The smoke's going to break, General. He knows they're somewhere here on the high ground. They drop a ward. They see Telekinesis to lead off on Thompson. The follow-up, there goes the lasso, but immediately gets interrupted there. And now the turnaround as General finds himself Primal Roared, and the rest of his team still on the low ground. As Seb, he's going to be able to help catch Roger as well. Always want to fly, goes for a TP out. And he'll be good there, but we may have a buyback on General, no buyback on Roger.
Overall, surprisingly, OG having a tough time ending this game, despite having the Abaddon plus the Beastmaster just buffing the hell out of this Gyro. Might have to do with the fact that Mid1's dove into their base deep twice, but FlyToMoon's putting up a fight. Yeah, possible. He'll always try to do some reverse engineering and figure out what went wrong to fix it for next time. And Mid1, you'd think he did that the first time, but he did not go through that process. And
maybe he thinks the dive is the correct play, but he executed it incorrectly.
So you got to test it one more time. Yeah. Okay, I see. He came from the top half of the map.
Yeah.
I see.
It's all about the angles, BSJ.
Yes, geometry and such. I think Drow can hit him from like 1200 range here.
Yeah, I mean, a Torrent, just a little bit of poke. Boat's going to come in. Surely he's going to die. Okay, there you go. Life number 1, gone. And General up in 10 seconds.
It is a range racks, mid and top, so they're now 2 range racks down as well as a melee. And Drow, wonder what talent he's going to take at level 25. Is he going to take the cooldown reduction or that extra marksmanship chance to go with his whole,
one shot, one kill, ready to die but never will?
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Do they still have the gem? Did they get it back? They did.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, when No-Tail died, I believe the gem dropped, and Always Want to Fly discovered a little bit later, but the initiation from Zed, swap back from Always Want to Fly. He gives up his life to be able to bail out General here. Stolen ult there. The Gyrocopter ult call down drops on OG, slows them down, and prevents them from pursuing. But every single time, the initiation just looks a lot stronger for OG. They always get a guaranteed kill, and nobody really dies on their side.
Fascinating thing about both these drafts is they just have so much damage amp on both sides. You have the Venge Drow on one side, and then you have the ET Beastmaster on the other. So everyone just melts. Like, people just die so fast on both sides. So any small misstep, and that's doom for somebody. And sadly, for Always Want to Fly, it's usually him, paying for the sins of his cores.
Yeah. I just can't believe he went the Divine Rapier.
Oh, he actually nailed it.
Now that he doesn't have the Aegis, he was no Aegis.
Mid1's he's an entertainer, he's a showman.
He really is.
He's got a good stream whenever he does stream, so he's learning to be a man of the people.
Yeah, I kind of feel like
this Rapier all about.
He's working really well with No-Tail. I almost imagine that second dive was just like No-Tail goaded him or something. He was like, "Bet you won't do it again,
pussy."
I'll show you. Call me a coward, will you?
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some form of that conversation occurred. We'll have to ask them about it if they manage to win this series. As so far, it's looking pretty good, and the odds seem to favor him. Only 1.43 with a 20K net worth lead. You know, I feel pretty confident, but maybe that's a bit slighted by the gyro rapier. Everyone's like, okay, maybe we'd put it like 1.2, but we all know there's like that 10% chance that mid one loses this rapier, and suddenly this game is interesting. He is going for the assault cuirass. Wow.
Yeah.
I was like partially joking,
armor,
but
right?
he actually just does. He has the solar crest, but that's it.
Yeah.
Vlad's no longer gives armor anymore. That's what No Tail went for. So other than that plate mail prior, he had the 8 armor from solar, and that was it.
What other good armor options are there, right?
Mech
Just
and
the
Greaves
3.
give armor now.
Yeah.
They give, I believe, 4 armor AoE. Greaves do.
Not the greatest.
Yeah, there's no better option, really.
Yeah.
So it's AC can give your teammate 5, Solar can give 8, so you can give somebody like 17 armor if you put all the items on them, but
Okay.
that's a lot of items to put on one guy, so maybe it's better he just puts it on himself, you know?
Is V2 never going to see the upgraded Crystallis, the Daedalus, fully complete, or is he just going to be sitting on 2 Crystaluses?
Or do you think he'll have the Daedalus build, the multiple Daedalus
yes.
builds?
That'll be a long time coming, because he's kind of been stuck on the same items for quite some time now.
The Refresher Orb on Beastmaster also has a Spell Prism, the most OP tier 4 item in the game. What hero in the game is the worst Spell Prism hero? Is there a hero that would say, nah, I don't want that on?
Yeah, seriously. It's like, I always think about this, it's like, is it better on shorter cooldown heroes that are going to be spamming their spells a lot? But it's really effective on those really long cooldown heroes as well. You give it to like a Tide Hunter or something like that, and all of a sudden he's spamming Anchor Smashes really fast, and his Ravage is his downtime is very, very small.
I actually like it a lot on... I mean, Beastmaster fits this description, but when I think of carries, I think of like Terrorblade, I think of even a Spectre, where they have low cooldown spells like Dagger and Conjure Image, which they usually don't always have the mana to spam, but then they also have that long cooldown ability that just removes the downtime so drastically, especially on like Metamorphosis, where the downtime is only about 100 seconds. You're not taking 20% off the cooldown. Like, you are taking 20% off the cooldown, but you're actually taking like 30% of the downtime away, because the downtime is only 100 seconds compared to the 140-second cooldown. So
that's why I believe, I mean, it's in the name, Spell Prism.
Yes.
I believe that cooldown reduction should only apply to spells.
Yes.
Not items.
I agree with that as well. I always even forget about the fact that it makes your BKB, 56 seconds instead of 70. That adds up a lot.
When you give it to like SF, and he's got like that, plus his level 25.
Beastmaster, I guess, only has mana for this Refresher because of the Spell Prism. It gives you 12 all stats, too, if anyone forgot about that.
Oh, it just sounds...
Seems
hey,
fine.
there's the Daedalus. Daedalus number 1.
Yep, Daedalus build halfway there. I think this is really the only way they win fights. Long fights are just not going to be in your favor for FlyToMoon. I just don't see how you're going to output damage that over the course of like 30 seconds is going to overcome this Gyro Rapier.
My question is, like, I agree with that. It's just we haven't seen a fight where they actually burst somebody down.
The Abaddon
either.
effect. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Abaddon. Not only does it counter Batrider in lane, but he also ruins the hero's game plan at this stage. Batrider is one of the most potent 40-minute plus heroes because he just lassos people deep into his base. And Abaddon just eliminates that possibility, or at least makes it much harder to execute. If they were ever able to coordinate a lasso with maybe a Drow Silence onto the Abaddon at the same time, then maybe things are different.
All right. We're going to give an Aegis to Mid-Wan before they go high ground. So, now with that in tow.
Now this time around, when he dives Fountain, he'll have that 5-second window when his Aegis is respawning him to buy a Ghost Scepter.
And you've got one of the best heroes to assist you in diving Fountain in the Abaddon.
Yes.
Right? So Mid-Wan can kind of lead the charge. He goes down, No Tail goes in, pops Borrow Time, tanks up.
Absolutely.
Time to wipe FlyToMoon inside the Fountain. I legitimately feel like that's got to be part of the game plan for FlyToMoon in coming back in this game. Guys, we got to lure them to the tier 4s, get them a little bit closer, get some swap shenanigans. X marks the spot. Once they get in the tier 4 Fountain area, they could stay there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Sab, he's initiation. General tried to blink as well, but he doesn't quite catch him in time.
The precasted roar, and then General just blinks right into it.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Blink for Blink, and now OG.
Oh my god, the damage.
Yeah, he's putting it out.
He's like dead.
Mid1 almost lost his Aegis, but they did get the melee barracks. Now they can spend their time. Oh no, Thompson looks like he just chucked some trees over there and got a kill on the support. Always when a fly goes down. Now it's just the bottom lane of barracks left for mega creeps.
At what point do you put the play mill over the treads for mid one?
Yeah. I think you're actually right on the money there, but all the damage! Zoxa just blinks in, all of a sudden the Draw Ranger gets blown up and dead for 2 minutes. So, that's it. That's the game right there, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 1 does go to OG, as many probably would have predicted.
Yeah, you see the power of ET right there, right? It's just like, let's just buff up what we're already doing. We don't need a hero that offers us anything